Clara, acepta este anillo como señal de mi amor y de mi fidelidad a ti.
It seems just like yesterday. It was 2007. A random stranger I'd never met before said, "I have seen the most amazing horror movie you have ever seen. I'm not going to tell you a thing. Just watch it." I popped it into my laptop, and the title came up, and that movie was called, what was it called, co-host?
That movie was called
Failure to launch.
I thought it was Love Actually.
No, that movie was
That would have been better.
the movie was called Wreck, R-E-C.
R.E.C.
Yeah,
'Cause
Spanish
I
film.
remember right after you saw it, you gave me I can't remember, you sent me an email or you just said you need to watch this movie.
That movie was so amazing to me. It was this Spanish movie, this horror movie from Spain, and hardly anybody had heard about it at the time. And I remember I was like the Ring with that shit. I said, "You got to watch this, and if you don't, in 7 days, I will come and beat the fuck out of you." Watch this movie, man. It's amazing.
I think we both got turned on to that right around the same time by different people because we both had one of those experiences where we were both like, "You got to." No, you got. You first. You first.
Yeah.
You didn't watch this movie. That's what I was going to tell you.
Yeah, it sat on my shelf for my roommate buys imported DVDs like obsessively, and it sat on our shelf for a year. And then I started hearing people talk about it, like, all right, maybe I should take it off the shelf and watch it. And holy fuck, am I glad I did that.
And it's funny because I watched it the same way you did, Corey, on like my laptop, like not that great of it, like not on a big TV, watching it like literally when I was on vacation and my parents had gone to bed early. I was like, what the fuck else am I going to do? I put on my headphones and watch this thing and try and be quiet. And that scared the shit out of me.
Oh my God, people.
It really was. I mean, because I love the fact that we all have a story about the first time we watched this movie.
3 a.m. and I had to stay up until 5 a.m. before I could go to sleep.
and it is one of those things where, you know, you find a golden nugget and you want to share it with all your friends. And I have to admit that, you know, I'm really not feeling all too funny about even doing this review, or at least trying to be funny on it, because I mean, I will say this one thing. I will quote one of our beloved Spill members, sad days, sad days, sad days.
Yeah, man. When Wreck came out, the original in 2007, you got to keep in mind that this was at a point where the found footage genre wasn't where it is today.
Yeah, it was just getting started.
Yeah, and even then, we were still in this resurgence of zombie movies.
Right.
So we have these two film types, these two categories, two genres that are coming in together to make this really innovative film. And I even remember saying this is even like one of the best video game movies I've ever seen. It's almost like watching Resident Evil and Silent Hill put on the screen.
It's the best Resident Evil movie ever.
Yeah,
with one of the best kickers of an ending ever.
Oh,
like
yeah.
a horror film.
Yeah, you have an apartment building where there's this outbreak, this virus that we've seen it all before. It's getting transmitted through biting or blood, and it's not long before the whole apartment building, or the majority of the apartment building, is being occupied by these zombies, whatever they are. And the cool thing about it was that the government knows about this, and they've come in and quarantined off the apartment complex. So it's this, the whole feeling of being claustrophobia is amplified by knowing that people on the outside, there's a world going on outside us that could help, but they're willing to shoot you dead if you try to get out of there. So nobody's going to help
Which
you out.
is the reason why, if you're one of the 200 people who saw the movie Quarantine, that's why it's a remake of Wreck, and that's why it's called Quarantine.
That's right.
It takes the kind of the lesser of the two concepts and makes that the title, whereas the original is called Wreck because there's a female journalist who sent her on a completely different story, like before the shit starts happening.
Yeah.
And as soon as it starts happening, because she's a journalist, she feels this need to film everything, make sure it's all documented. So they actually have a reason to get past that point where you'd be like, bitch, put the camera down and get out of there.
Well, yeah, because
that's right.
She's desperate. She's just really, like, she's frustrated that no one wants to give her big break.
Yeah.
And this is like, this is it. This is your big
Totally.
break.
Oh, yeah.
And you better
Wow.
keep that camera fucking running.
Brian, you made a good point. By the way, Brian Salisbury, as we said in our Cabin in the Woods review, playing the role of Leon tonight is Brian Salisbury. Welcome, everybody. Yay! No, but you made an excellent point. One of the biggest complaints about the found footage movie and today it's passed on to other things outside of horror. We just saw Project X, which was a comedy, a teen sex comedy,
supposedly.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, you did. I'm not. No, don't even don't trap me like that.
He wished he was part of that review so bad.
I know, because we all like the movie, but not since Project X have I seen a movie where it actually made sense for somebody to be holding the camera, especially in a horror movie, because that's what you're thinking. Like, put the fucking camera down and run.
Exactly.
But that movie right there is one of the few, if not only, horror movies where I'm thinking that makes sense. And so that's why we have come to this movie, Rec 3. And in Rec 3, we have what starts out way different from what we have in this movie. This starts out as a wedding. This is not even related to what happened in the original Rec. And this is called, did I say Genesis? Rec 3 Genesis?
It's called Rec 3. It's also important to note that Rec 2 is a really good film as well. And it takes place at the same apartment building. And it centers on the SWAT team that's sent in to deal with the outbreak.
I don't remember if it was the first scene in Rec 2, but regardless, it starts exactly where Rec 1 ends on.
And it's a natural progression, a continuation of that story that we saw in Rec 1.
It amps up the movie.
It does.
It takes the big surprise that we discover at the end of Rec 1 and uses that to make the overall sense of how creepy all the shit that's going on that much creepier.
Because you know what's in there and they don't.
Yeah.
It's very Hitchcock. It's like, you know what the fuck is going on. You know more than the characters. So it's
I always compared Rec 2 to you have Alien and Aliens, and you have with Rec and Rec 2.
That's a very apt comparison.
It worked very well. You're exactly right. Going in, we know it's there where we didn't know really before, and now that it's creeped up as far as man, you guys, you don't know what you're getting into right there.
Yeah, even while it adds a religious aspect onto it that wasn't on the first one, it does it in a sort of Silent Hill-ish sort of way, where it's not very specific about it. It's just these things are clearly evil.
And it kind of lost.
Not just zombies. There's something diabolical and supernatural going on here.
And it kind of actually, there's a debate now on whether some people like the angle that it took and some people don't, but everybody can agree that the atmosphere was great, and it's still held on to the theme that made the first one so innovative.
Sure.
Now we come to this Rec 3 Genesis right here, and it takes place at a wedding, which is not related to the movies that we've seen before, and no longer is this just a found footage movie, which actually works very great at the film. It starts out with a guy filming a wedding video, and we see the groundwork being laid down for what we know happened in the previous movies. And we're just waiting. It's like, okay, this is cool, because what's so crazy here is that all these people are mostly family, close friends. And so how hard is it going to be to see all these people that you love and know turn into these creatures that we've seen before? And soon after the outbreak happens, it switches to something different. No longer is it a found footage movie. It's not from the video camera's point of view. We actually switch to a movie, and there's being jokes made about things the first Rec, and having to use things from the camera's point of view. There's jokes being made about that, and we're thinking, man, okay, this is where they're going to innovate this. It's going to be self-referential in a very clever way, and it's so disappointing to say that the outcome is just a typical zombie movie, at least for me.
Very typical.
It goes into the world of mediocrity, and every other goddamn zombie movie we see that goes straight to DVD, or just a lesser zombie film that really you just watch. You go, okay, that was a good kill right there, and then you forget about it the next day.
Right, and the thing is, they do call back directly to Rec 1, and there's a line where we're talking about the journalist where she says, people need to know what's happening. And one of the characters with the camera says that to the groom as shit's going down, and he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And literally takes and smashes the camera, and suddenly you're right, oh shit. It's weird that the big innovation is that it's a regular movie now. It's come full circle. It's like, oh my god, they're changing the game up by making a regular fucking horror movie.
I know. Here's the thing, and I think you said this to me after it was over, Brian, was that all right, so the first two movies are directed by two guys, and written by two guys together. Now, for Rec 3 and 4, they decided to split up the duties. So one of them took Rec 3, and one of them is taking the one that I believe is coming out towards the end of the year, which is a Apocalypse.
Yeah, if I could just say the names up there, and I'm gonna fuck it up. I think one is named Jaime Palaguero, and then the other is Paco Plaza. Paco Plaza is the one that we have directed this one.
But I think that you've said
Paco Plaza, isn't that like a Mexican food restaurant?
I think it is. I think I had that last night.
I got the runs from Paco Plaza.
I had some bad Pacos from there. But you were saying,
don't drink the water there.
When this happens and that team split up, then we find out where the talent.
We see where all the talent. And it's crazy because the other guy went on to make a movie by himself called Sleep Tight, which played fantastic.
Really liked a lot.
And it's a great fucking movie.
Yeah.
And then we get this one from Paco Plaza, and it's like, Oh, so it's the other guy
And
that's talented.
it's weird. The biggest innovation, like at least as far as he's concerned, doesn't seem to be that yes, we're switching to regular filmmaking. Which, in his defense, he has an eye for filmmaking in here. There's some cinematography and some shots in here that I was like, that was pretty impressive. I like what you did. But he thinks he's being clever. He's like, haha, we're gonna just have fun with the whole series now. We're gonna be self-aware about it all because our audience has already seen those other movies and just kind of being jokey and laughy about it. You know, I mean, really, it feels like for the first time someone showed him Evil Dead and Dead Alive and the classics of like comedy horror zombie movies, and he went, oh, I want to make one more like that, which defeats the point.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I stayed for the Q&A and he did mention that, you know, he finished watching Army of Darkness. Like, you could tell, and when you watch the movie, I'm like, oh, okay, because I see it. And it's unfortunate because, you know, it's like, I know the big deal with this movie is that they wanted to give the audience something that they're not going to expect at all. And like you said, Brian, I mean, it's sad the fact that, you know, they've just made a generic horror movie. That's all this guy really did. But the thing that makes me like, it makes it worse knowing that, you know, I definitely think that they had a premise that they could have really worked with.
Sure.
Because at the beginning, when it is through the perspective of the video camera at a wedding, we've all been to weddings. We all know what they look like. We've all seen wedding videos. And just the fact that, you know, there's that underlying doom that's going to happen, it makes the situation that much more scarier, that much more creepy. The fact that you know that you have nothing but loved ones, you have kids attending this wedding, and when all hell breaks loose, you can't help but think like, man, this is going to be just something very horrific.
And you've hit on something that to me was the biggest problem with the movie is that there is a scene where a bunch of kids get killed. This movie tonally is all over the goddamn map. Like, is it a comedy? Because there are a lot of like really funny and self-aware scenes, and then there's like really intense shit, like watching. Okay, I think the best example of what the problem with this movie is it can be canonized in one scene where a woman's zombified mother gets shot in the head right in front of her by a guy wearing a sponge costume. It's like, wait, is it like, am I supposed to be sad and have a serious human moment, or am I supposed to look at the guy in the fucking sponge costume?
It's like they took the Shaun of the Dead scene with Shaun and his mother, and they tried to do something with that on
Make
this.
it sadder on the one end and sillier on the other.
And it didn't work. And that scene was completely ruined.
And people act like idiots for no reason except that you're supposed to he wants to market it as a zombie love story or something, I guess. I don't know, because that's the best I can think of, because ultimately you've got the bride and the groom who are separated in the midst of all this chaos, who are willing to do any stupid fucking thing that no one would ever do in order to find the other person. I believe in true love. I do. I'm a romantic. But there's fucking zombies all over the place. Yeah. And that is a game changer.
Well, see, that's the problem. Now, I hear you. I hear that one person out there right now saying, wow, you guys you're holding the older movies up against this one. Why can't you just enjoy this movie for what it is?
Because it's Rec 3.
Yeah, but that's exactly it. The title's called Rec 3. I tried. Yeah. And then when I let go. I just said, okay, it's not the same movie. I'm not going to complain about it. But then what happens after that? People, let's just take the title off of it. Let's just call it what you said, Zombie Love Story. That's one of the biggest things that's wrong with this movie, is that even as a zombie film on its own, it is just a below average or probably just average zombie movie. You could watch this on HBO, Cinemax, rent it at a Redbox. It's nothing that you're going to be excited for other than, yeah, I saw that. Yeah. One of the reasons why is because one of the things that stood out to me the most at the beginning is that once they try to make a real movie out of this or a conventional movie out of this, the dialogue is terrible. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many moments where they're trying to put this love theme in there so much that the bride and the groom in this movie, you have the groom who's he's lost her in the chaos that happened at the wedding reception, and he's trying to find her again. And so he knows that she's alive when she comes over the intercom and starts saying things like, my love, we will be together again.
If I had one more goddamn telenovela moment in this fucking movie, I was going to scream.
Yeah, we'll just fucking turn the goddamn Twilight or something.
I seriously thought they were going to start playing the Celine Dion song from Titanic at one point.
They should have. It would have been appropriate. You know, if they're trying to make this a comedy, that's what they should have done.
But the comedy doesn't even work either. I mean, it's
no, it doesn't, because they don't know when to put it in.
You've seen this done better. I mean, it's in this movie. It's not very funny. I mean, you want something that's done well, look at Shaun of the Dead or look at Evil Dead 2 where they
Or Cabin in the Woods.
or Cabin in the
what's
Woods.
that?
Yeah.
Our Cabin in the Woods. Yeah, this movie right here gives you just, again, below average symbolism, below average imagery, below average dialogue that we've seen done funnier, better, more romantic.
It's not
than
smartly
anything.
written as part of the problem in the sense of a horror film. Like the first two, the reason they're so great is because they're very tight. There aren't very many holes at all. Everything behaves the way we've been shown that it behaves before. But here you got stuff like sometimes they're just slow rambling zombies when the scene needs to have the characters talk for a bit with zombies in the background.
Yeah.
And other times they run full tilt.
Establish your rules and fucking play by
Which the
them.
fuck
Yeah.
is it? And it's like he just doesn't give a shit.
Right.
No, he doesn't. And the sad thing is that, you know, I really do hate the fact that the atmosphere that Rec 1 and 2 created is completely lost on this film.
Right.
It's completely and utterly gone. And what do they do to substitute that? They bring in all the cliches that we mentioned before, which I know we're probably going to get shit. It's like, oh, there you guys go again. Bringing up, we've seen this before. And the sad fact is like, yeah, we have, and they didn't do shit with it here.
Nothing new
I mean,
or nothing
the
at all.
moment I noticed a chainsaw during a scene, and I'm like, please don't do that.
You know what they say
Please
about
do
a
not do
chainsaw in the
that.
first act, man.
Do
Well,
not-
somebody pointed
yeah.
out that this was actually the first Left 4 Dead movie.
Yeah.
Really, like it feels like Left
That's
4
what I said.
the
I
Left
said
4
I wanted
Dead
it.
game.
I wanted to call it Wrecked for Dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it is, because there's stuff like, they're like, oh, there's a sword. Okay, that'll be useful later.
Yeah.
I mean, and just weird, goofy shit lying around. And you're like, yeah, at some point,
And that's-
you'll use that.
That's actually where the movie turns, because it's by the point that they got to them using different weapons in the movie to kill these zombies. I'm just like, all right, this is not what I expected, but I'm going to see how long they carry this on, and maybe somewhere along the lines it's all going to come together. But this is where the movie got goofy. Like one of the guys sees like a, what do you call those things, like a lance, like the big spiked lance.
Oh, a
mace.
A mace. Yeah. He sees a big mace on the wall, and he's like, you know. And he's like, I'm going after my wife. And then they show them him and another character in the next scene, dressed up in this goofy armor that they just pulled off of the wall somewhere.
Yeah.
And this is one of the awkward moments of comedy in there. And I'm like, all right, the problem with that is that this is not, as we said, as a zombie movie, it would be all right, but it is not a Rec film. Everything that they set up, they just totally betrayed.
It looked like kids all of a sudden were playing dress up in a horror movie, and it really throws you out of the movie.
Look, this is the Halloween 3 of the Rec series. It's the movie that on its own is fine, but because you slapped a name on it and made something completely divergent from what we've expected of that franchise name, it doesn't work.
But even worse, though, because this really betrays what's come before. I mean, it
does.
takes the things that we're building that were so frightening, the little bits of the plot that we know about these things and what they are and what's happening, and it turns that it does build on them in ways that are so silly that you're just like, are you fucking kidding me? Really? It's like Return of the Living Dead 2 or something.
It really is. It feels like a Return of the Living Dead movie.
Yeah,
exactly.
this is one of those movies where after you see it, I mean, it does feel like the same creative team that were responsible for the first two had nothing to do with this. It was almost like a studio handed this off to somebody who's just like, you know what? We need to make a real quick, cheap, just zombie movie. Can you just make something to throw it out there? And that's what I felt like I was watching. I really felt like I was watching some generic straight to DVD. Like this movie should have been called Quarantine 2 or 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really should have.
Where it
been.
doesn't have canon, it needs to be faithful to.
And a lot of people are going to be confused because it's called Rec 3 Genesis, and they're even marketing it as if it was indeed like we're going to find out how it all started. Okay, first off, totally not even mildly
Bullshit.
true.
No.
While there's something that happens in the background at one point that indicates that maybe this is happening at the same time.
At the
as
same
event
time, not even
of the
before.
first film. Nothing is explained to make it clear where anything else came from. Really, you're not going to learn anything new in that sense from it at all. I mean, it's more like a bad later day Genesis song than it is like actual.
Yeah,
like,
it is a
land of
Genesis the
confusion.
story. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No,
Although I do like that song.
I like it too.
No, that's the worst thing about it is that there's no origin story here, and why even call it that name?
Yeah,
No.
and I hate that they use such striking just visuals and characters from the first two, and they really made it look cheap.
That's what I'm saying.
They really cheapened the
They build on stuff that's scary and turn it into just a theme park attraction.
And you can get mad at us for holding it against the first two, but it's like if you saw the first two Saws and then the third one was called the Rocky Horror Jigsaw show. Like you would be pissed off because it'd be like you've established a certain tone, and then you make a movie that's not only divergent in tone but not very good.
Thank you for that image. Now I see that Jigsaw puppet wearing lingerie. Coming on the bus.
Try doing the time warp now, motherfucker.
But that's the thing,
I'm just a sweet serial killer.
but that's the thing, I think really huge fan lovers of the first movie and even the second one, I definitely think they're going to feel the same way. I mean, because it is, Wreck will always be one of those movies that, it was just something that blew us away the first time we saw it because we found it in such an unusual way.
I'll tell you who would love
that
it.
made it really fucking special.
Raymond, who's love it? No, Antonio. My buddy Antonio. I have to say, Antonio was sitting there enjoying it the whole time. People,
I know, and I was groaning the whole time.
We got a friend named Antonio, and I was sitting next to him, and bless his heart, I ain't gonna take it away from him. He was enjoying the whole thing. He was sitting up there clapping. He was like, yes! And there were moments he'd get clues and like, oh, no.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I was really looking forward to having a talk with him because like right after
an intervention?
he had to go. Yes. No, because I'm like, I was really seriously thinking like, oh man, you know what? There are going to be some Antonios out there that are going to watch this movie, and they're going to be like,
you make it sound like there's an Antonio epidemic.
It is an epidemic. It is going to be.
Through bites, people.
It is going to be.
Antonio gonna turn around and bite me, and I ain't going to be talking like Antonio.
There's your Wreck 4, guys.
And in some ways,
Night of the Antonios.
And in some ways, I can't help but think, I've been Antonio. I've been infected with certain other series where you just feel like, oh man, I know deep down this is not as good as the first and second one, but I'm trying to really grasp onto something. I'm really like, I'm as soon as I leave, I'm gonna write an apology.
Well, let me just say this before we end this review, because we just dogpiling on the movie, and I think we said, and no, deservedly so, because I don't understand what the hell they were thinking with this. I do. I know they want to try something different, and I admire that. I really do. But this is something where you have one of the directors who, since it's a duo, you have a director who is just not strong in the conventional movie making sense, especially when it comes down to the script. I mean, to take your own series and make it to start out with something innovating and then just make something that's everything we've seen before. Wow, that's amazing. But I will say this. Some of the elements from the previous films, they do hold over here. This is I guess you get into that area of what's infected and what is a zombie, and these are the infected, which means that they run fast, they snarl, they attack ferociously, and I still find that a little more frightening than the zombies, and the way they did the zombie effects in here, I thought that they had some scenes where they captured that suspense from the other movies. And the violence in here, I mean, listen, if you're a fan of gore, they do have some good kills in here. That's also a problem because this is one of the ways I was describing this movie is that instead of being a movie that has a creepy story there and great atmosphere, it's turned into somewhat of a fanboy movie. It's more about what cool kills and what cool imagery that can we have here. Like there's even a scene where the bride later on in the movie decides to become a badass, and you think she's cutting her skirt off so that she can run faster. No, she cuts half of her skirt off so you can just see her I guess the garter belt or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, okay, you know what? That's dumb because you want to look cool for fanboys. And I told you trying to do that and make a movie. You know?
And I told you that like right after the screening, I was like, this definitely seems like it was made for a specific crowd, and not to make it sound bad, but I told you, I was like, this seems like they're really catering to a Fantastic Fest type crowd, to where it's like they want to go a little over the top, where it makes me sad because I'm like, you know what? The first two Wreck films didn't need any of this. Didn't need any of it to really get it.
They did what was right for the characters, not what was right for the poster.
And they were also just in pacing. They were almost like arty suspense horror, whereas this is just action horror.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those films where you're like, okay, not everything, most of the stuff in here is pretty dumb and unbelievable, but the kills are really good, and there's a lot of them. And so it's one of those films that demands an audience to be seen, to see it, that will be the kind of people who cheer every time somebody gets a big kill. But that's not in and of itself, doesn't make it a good movie.
No, it doesn't.
And it is offensive that anybody would think that this is what you should do in the Wreck series.
Yeah, not a total waste. I saw this at a midnight movie. I actually had fun, but
not enough fun to give it a good review.
Big old hairy butt. Yeah, but
is it?
But I mean, you have a great setup. You have great effects. Found the zombies terrifying. Found the gore creative, and yeah, they look cool. But from going here on out, stick to your strengths, because honestly, if I was there because this was one of my favorite horror movies and I was looking forward to seeing it. Had I known what this would have been, regardless of what fun I had at a midnight movie, I could have missed this and not feel like I missed a thing.
Right.
And so that's a low rental for this movie.
As far as I'm concerned, it's not a rec film, and that's all there is to it.
It's a low rental for me.
Yeah, it's just not a rec film, and there's I'm gonna give it 2 ratings on the terms of a rec film. It's not even a low rental. I think it's some old bullshit in terms of, in terms of a rec film. You're going there excited because you love the first 2 like we do, and in that context, this is absolute garbage. But you strip that away from it, which you easily could. You could just say, take off the title.
It pretty easy to do.
You take off the title and say, it's just a zombie film. In which case you go, it's another halfway decent little zombie film. I mean, it's okay. It's got some funny parts. It's got some great kills in it. It's even got some good cinematography to it. So, it is dumb, no question about it. And it's got some really terrible acting, but there's lots of fun, good horror films that have those bad qualities as well. And I don't care. I'm going to actually give this, in those terms, a low matinee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, if you're a completionist who loves the first 2 movies and just wants to see the third one, which I think you should. I'm a franchise completionist, so I can understand that. So I would give, on that term, a very low rental. However, I do think you need to check yourself before you wreck 3 yourself.
He's been holding that back, though.
I know. He couldn't wait. And we got a friend over here, High. He's giving High, trying to give him a fist bump. High, like,
So what'd you give it?
I'd say a low rental.
A fist bump.
Okay. Yeah, wow. I was really just surprised how utterly depressed I was after watching this screening.
What if I need to come around you and give you hugs and put all over your shoulder?
You know what? It's kind of like...
What can rectify the situation?
I know,
you two were made for each other.
It was almost like the same feeling I had when I walked out of Batman and Robin, where you're like, did that just happen? Because you know what? As far as normal conventions, it is a decent film. It's not the shit fest that I hope we're not making it sound out like to be, but it's just a very typical horror fodder that is easily accessible. But like we all said, being a rec film, it was a huge disappointment, and everything with part 2. When it brought in the whole religious aspect of that film, I was like, you know what? They played enough with it to me to where it wasn't insulting my intelligence. Where this film, they really bring in that aspect of the whole religious thing, and they amp it up to 10, and it makes it completely corny and goofy.
Yeah, just laughable.
And just like, man, why did you guys have to really do that? Because now you're kind of tainting part 2. They're tainting part 2, and for me that's a big tragedy. But you can easily, I think any fan of those 2, they can easily watch those 2 films, or even still watch the first one, and they'll be fine. There's no reason really why, if you're afraid of to watch Rec 3, I say, you know what? Why not? Stay away from it. What really? Why do you really need to see it?
We can still hope Rec 4 picks up where the last one.
But
I say go watch Army of Darkness.
Exactly.
Zombieland or
exactly. Watch Zombieland.
Shaun of the Dead.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. But and that makes me disheartened, because the fact that I realized that one of the guys that was responsible for the first 2 is a part of it, it makes me that much more frustrated, because this is the perfect example of a film that, after watching it and not knowing anything about it, not knowing who was worked on or what, this is a perfect example of how you would think a studio would meddle in a creative genre, or a creative title like this.
Just get right in the way.
Yeah, it would just get right in the way.
And this guy's like, no, bro.
No, and this guy
I just fucked up a moment.
I know, and this guy completely did that on his own. So I have to give it a rental. Just completely being fair, it's something I could sit down and watch.
Yeah.
And just be okay with, and
just has no business being called a
sad. Yeah,
well,
I already forgot this movie.
In terms of what you were talking about earlier, of the religious aspect goes to the point where it's just silly here, not scary at all. It should tell you everything you need to know that the title Rec 3 Genesis is not saying it is the beginning of the series. It is a pun on the religious aspect.
We know how much you hate puns.
Yeah.
Yes, but they don't belong in rec films.
This is true.
You know what? The director's still in town. we can kidnap him and beat the shit out of him if you like. Well, they Brian, where is he? Brian was looking at me like, you for real? I'm like, no,
This is what happens when you fuck a series in the ass.
I think I'd rather take him to his own taco joint.
You gonna give us the shits like the one you filmed on the camera?
No te cases nunca.